the vendor who was selling this. I couldn't believe it, but he actually showed him his medical marijuana card. So this is good stuff. Apparently this is paraphernalia. If you smoke it, you get busted. It's dirt. Is anybody a grower? Anybody a grower? Well, this is medical marijuana mix from N3, and this is all natural and organic. 153338, whatever the hell that means. By the way, the Lions are ahead. On the little side note. Lions are beating San Francisco with about 9 minutes left in the game. Okay, so if you guys want to split this up, the people from Medical Marijuana Mix are glad to give this away. I can't hold this up much more. It's about 50 pounds here, so I'm dropping it. Whoa! No, kidding. Here we go. Anybody who wants it, anybody who grow it, grab it fast. Oh! Look at it all go!
Is that soil or is it weed?
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That's soil,
If
isn't
you're here to take your seats, we have a very, very, very special presentation for everybody. One of your legends here today, one of Michigan's star activists. Before we get started, I want to introduce one person very, very special who's known John for a long time, who's written about him. He's our associate publisher. Everybody, a warm hand for Rick Cusick. Thank you! Ow! You are at the Cannabis Cup, yeah? Yeah! Cannabis Cup! Alright, but you know the Cannabis Cup is in Detroit. The Cannabis Cup is in Michigan. This is where the action is. That's why we're here today, because this is where the action is, where the political action is, and where the cannabis action is. And let me tell you something, there would be not political action, there would not be cannabis action if it wasn't for this man sitting right here. This man is one of my heroes, and I am honored to be on the stage with John Sinclair. And you people here, if you live in Michigan, if you live in Detroit, you should be honored to be in this room because we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for John Sinclair. John Sinclair is pretty much a renaissance man in a lot of ways, and I'm going to ask you folks to ask questions in a minute, but just to clarify for a minute or two, when I say to you we wouldn't be here for John Sinclair. John Sinclair is a political activist who in 1968 founded the White Panther Party in response to the Black Panther Party in support of the Black Panther Party. This man and the rest of this country was fearing civil rights and fearing a major African-American insurrection. John Sinclair helped found the White Panther Party to let them know solidarity with that movement. This man is a major political activist. Okay, well, that's the beginnings of Hightimes magazine and our advocacy and our dissent. But on top of that, John Sinclair is a marijuana hero to everybody in here. I am reading from here just to make sure I got it right. In 1972,
he was the first one arrested.
Possession of marijuana. It went to the Michigan Supreme Court, ruled in People versus Sinclair that Michigan's classification of marijuana was unconstitutional, and in fact, he criminalized marijuana in Michigan. Right there. When I say we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be here. And on top of that, this man's cultural history, he was the manager of the MC5, who was one of the bands that began what later became known as punk music. A renaissance man. Tonight, we are going to give this man a well-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award from Hightimes magazine. But now, I'm going to wander out into this audience, and I'd like you people, if you have an interest in marijuana, if you have an interest in politics, if you have an interest in culture, if you have an interest in poetry, I suggest you ask a question of John Sinclair. Do I have any questions? Raise your hand, please. I got something right over here. Your name, sir?
My name's Matt Abel, sir. I was just wondering, when are we going to have fucking in the streets exactly?
It's up to you, right? You can do it right now.
got a loving partner. All right, can I get another question to Mr. Sinclair? Raise your hand, yes, sir. Dr. Blanchard from Las Vegas, Michigan. Hey, what are things you thought like? Who's done some kind of celebrity roast? I got a question. I always want to ask you, and I'm going to ask you partner. Okay, you are, among all the things I just said, also a poet of extraordinary strength. I'm principally a poet. You are principally a poet. And my question to you is, your poetry is derived from what are the major sources? Where do you get your inspiration for your poetry?
Well, as a poet, I was inspired by the great Allen Ginsberg. Not only as a poet, but as a social activist.
I've heard of him.
He was a leading figure in
How?
our generation.
How? H-O-W-L is the name of Allen Ginsberg. He's a famous poet.
I'm sorry. That's better, huh? Thank you. I was first inspired by the great American poet named Allen Ginsberg. He also was one of the founders of the legalized marijuana movement in the United States. In January of 1965, I received in the mail an announcement from Allen Ginsberg and Edward Sanders, announcing the formation of New York WEMAR, an organization to legalize marijuana. And I smoked a joint, looked at this flyer, and I said, we're going to do this here in Detroit. So I went to the mimeograph machine and made up a flyer, and it said, Detroit WEMAR, first meeting. So what are you doing there? What I wanted to say in terms of, I can make a few brief remarks. In terms of my acting. Well, I smoked my first joint 50 years ago this coming January. 1962. It was such in Flint, Michigan, and it was such an outside experience. Only black people smoked weed where I live. And you had to get to know some black people in order to get turned on, and I was fortunate enough to do that. And through this you learned about the criminal proscriptions against marijuana users. At that time in Michigan, marijuana was called a narcotic. It was regarded pharmacologically or legally in the same category as heroin or cocaine or any sort of narcotics. So the first thing was they called it a narcotic. Then they had this massive legal structure built up on top of this phony definition, which ended up with if you gave somebody 2 joints like I did, you were charged with dispensing dispensing a narcotic. You were subject upon conviction to a mandatory minimum 20-year prison term with a maximum of life. That was for sale. For possession of 2 marijuana cigarettes for which I was wrongfully convicted. Not that I didn't possess them every day and have more than 2 joints today, I'm happy to say. So I could never figure out how they picked this one day, December 22nd, 1966, as the day of my heinous crime for which I was eventually sentenced to 9.5 to 10 years in the Michigan prison system. So all in all, my life, I decided to fight these laws because they were so wrong. And then I considered myself a confirmed marijuana smoker that I would be smoking all of my life, which turned out to be a reasonable prediction. I got busted 3 times. The 3rd time, I convinced some lawyers, some very good lawyers, Sheldon Otis and Justin Kravitz. I convinced them that we needed to challenge the constitutionality of the Michigan marijuana laws. So with their leadership and assistance, that's what I did. I ended up going to prison, being held for 2.5 years.